Thanks for your time, Etana. Really appreciate it.
Yep,
Um,
thanks for having me.
no, no problem at all. One thing that struck me about listening to Gemini, the latest in your musical offerings to the world, was the fact that I think I've been listening to you for years, and I think I've got to the point where I almost take you, your presence, your voice for granted. And it got me thinking and looking back through all of the things that you've given us. And thank you for all of your contributions.
Thank you.
Before we go any further, thank you for all of them. I don't know if people thank you, but thank you, you know. One thing I was thinking about was, do you feel taken for granted, or do you feel like the industry and the world, I know your fans appreciate you, but do you feel like you're acknowledged for the consistent work you've done?
I think that I often question whether I'm too clean or too good. Um, because when everything is too clean and too polished and too good all the time, I think people don't pay attention to that. There's no negative, no drama, no, no fight, no cuss, no, you know. And so and I find that most of the times when people pay attention is when there's some kind of pasa or some kind of clapback or some kind of negative stuff, and then they'll pay attention to other things. So I question that, but I I don't know, maybe they have taken up some of the stuff that I've done for granted. And I would say too that when it came to as it relates to the album I Rise, it was released in 2014, but it wasn't until the whole argument, the political response that I gave, that I saw the views rack up to millions in like 1 week. Like millions, like a lot, like maybe 24 million in 1 week. So those are the things that I think, why can't people just pay attention to things that's just positive and uplifting from the beginning? Because they thought that the album I Rise was new in 2016, 2 years later.
Wow, wow. How's Gemini been received? We ain't gonna wait 2 years before we talk about that. I'll tell you that much. How's that been received? And what's the most positive feedback you've got on that project?
I think people are loving the fact that the album is as versatile as it is. Um, they're just loving it all, and people are like, some people I've heard from have said things like, um, "Wait a minute, from this track to this track, is that the same person?" You know. But they love all the tracks, and I love the love that I'm getting from Gemini. It's just wicked, and I appreciate it.
What's the most fulfilling aspect about pulling a project like that together? I mean, you've slightly touched on it, just being able to show the diversity of who Etana is in 2020. But what else was particularly satisfying about Gemini for you?
To hear people sing the songs like the minute they drop, and to see people post on like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook what their favorite track was, like a couple of days after the album was released. I mean, literally like 3 or 4 days, people were already listing their songs, their favorite tracks on Facebook. And I thought that that was really incredible. And at least they're not waiting for 2 years to say, "Oh, you have a new project." All my fans, like, they're all just loving this album, and it's just wicked. I love the love. Trust me, I love it.
What's your favorite track?
It's hard to pick one. It's always hard
Yes.
to pick a favorite track. Like, I love Truly,
I'm
because
just
of
gonna say
the
that. I'm just gonna say that. I wish you could see my notes because I was gonna say it. I love Truly. I love. It's the old romantic in me,
thank
but I
you.
love it. Yeah, I love it.
I love Truly. I love Bubble,
Mm.
because it brings the excitement to the love on top of the love.
I'm
It
glad
brings much excitement.
I'm glad my two favorites are your two favorites so far. But keep going.
I love Truly. I love Bubble. Um, I love Love. Now don't make me forget what it feels like. Feel you. I love that song because it's so deep, and I went so deep to write that song. I went into uncomfortable depths, if you know what I mean, to
I
write that
understand.
song. And I love the whole album. I enjoyed putting this project together.
Is it at this point in your career, Etana? Is it natural for you to do music, or do you have to have a period of real motivation and creativity? What keeps you kind of stimulated enough to create a body of work like this? Because, you know, it's 2008, a strong one, and here you
Yeah.
are 12 years later, still pulling them out the, you know, pulling rabbits out of a hat like you're some magician, some musical magician. Talk to me. I mean, because not too many people can have, you know, that staying power. How do you stay creative?
Um, my motivation through the first set 4 albums, from Strong One to Free Expressions to Better Tomorrow and I Rise, I realized after doing Strong One, the agreement that was signed with VP, I learned a lot about music, and I learned a lot about the things that artists should know about. And I said, wow, okay, so I'm gonna have to really do these albums and get through it. But instead of just creating music, just say I'm gonna just give them an album just to get out of the deal. I paid attention to the quality of the music, because I knew that after that deal, that I would still be around and that I would still be creating, but I did not want to lose the attention of my fans. So I made sure that I kept their attention with, well produced songs, songs that took them places, songs that made them dream, made them fight, made them win, songs that just, that carried them. And I knew that once I was out of that deal, that I could just continue making good music. Um, and it would be good for me. And so I just did that. That was my motivation to get out of that deal, but get out of that deal knowing that I've done a good job. And now my motivation is making new music that I totally have like own the rights to. Music that still keep my fans going, still, encourage them, influence them in positive direction, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I still own the rights to my masters, and that's my motivation to keep going, to inspire, to educate, to uplift, to put people in positive vibes all the time, but to do it right.
Let's talk. Let me dwell on that for a second. Let's talk music business IQ. So you've already admitted that you learned a lot because of your inception into the business. What pitfalls and this is a 2-part question because I really want to home in on your consistency being integral to you being still relevant in 2020. So for youngsters coming up behind you, how important is it that their music business IQ is on point and that, they are in tune with the business? Did you catch all of that?
I'm sorry. No, I went in and out. I was trying to fix it. Say that again.
No problem. I think it's my end. How important is it that musical IQ, music business IQ, for the younger artists coming up behind you, how important is it that they get in tune with that? And that's the first part of the question. The second part I want to know is in regards to how consistent you've been over the last 12 years. Talk about that and how that importance to you now being able to embrace this new sense of freedom, and I guess the future is bright for you.
There are a lot of things that I wish I knew then, like when I was signing my first contract ever. It was the very first contract, and I trusted people that I thought, I thought they meant me well, and so I listened a lot to what everybody else had to say around me, and I kind of like I just followed along. And in following along, I didn't realize that at the end of the day, all of this falls on me. Like when I say all of this falls on me, I mean completing the album. I mean, doing all the work and feeling satisfied with it. I mean, you like say, for example, a company wants to pay for a sync. It would fall on me knowing that all that income from that sync would go directly to VP, who owns the rights to the music. When I say fall on me, I mean that everything in that agreement that says that I get 0.0001 cents on the dollar, and them not being able to, it's a lot of things, like everything that has to do with that contract, like I have to live with it. And so then what everybody else had to say became less important over time. And what the people who I trusted to guide me along the way, I realized that, hey, this is not about who you trust or who you're loyal to. It's all about making sure that the person reviewing the contract on your behalf is not in alliance with the very company that you're signing to. Because at the end of the day, when they're gone and time passes, the music is forever, and forever you will have to live with the terms in that agreement, unless you can prove that there was something illegal about what was done. A contract is dangerous. It's dangerous. So, and it's important. I now realize that, you know, knowing all the pieces that I know now about the business of music, and coupling that with knowing the worth of a song when it's created, that's a powerful tool right there. Because if I had known all the things that I know now, and I knew the worth of a song created, I'm sure that I would have made different choices.
Consistency, then. I guess if one part of that deal was a bitter pill to swallow, the fact that you've been able to put out consistent work has allowed you to stay relevant, be relevant. Your voice is still amazing. Just a little taste you gave us effortlessly just earlier in this interview lets me know everything I need to know. So in terms of moving forward, I guess, do you have like a target on how many more albums you want to put out, and
Oh, I'm
how
just
long
gonna
you're going
keep
to go
going.
for?
I'm gonna keep going. Like Gemini, we're talking about Gemini now because it was released in June of this year, 2020, and the other album is already done. Like,
Oh, for real? Okay,
oh
okay,
yeah, oh, it's done.
okay.
The other album is already done, so I'm anxious to hear the excitement from my fans when they hear any track from that album, because I made sure that I don't have what they call like fillers on this album. And I don't know, like I'm still questioning, like I still ask myself, like how did you manage to put these tracks together that are so strong back to back to back? You know, and I hope my fans will feel the same way when the music is released.
God bless talent. That's probably how. I mean, performing this year, Etana, is a myth, right? It's an absolute myth.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how I'm struggling with that myth.
I can imagine. I mean, you guys have performed. You guys are born to share your art, born to share your talent, and in front of as many people as possible. So very well, people millions streaming and downloading. That's great, but that live connection, people, you know, feeling that tangible impact of your voice when they're in your presence, that can't be attained, even through digital concerts and all the rest of it. It's just not the same. But okay, I guess. What can you make any plans now that you're a bit freer to do so for yourself? Do you do any intimate shows? What's available?
Okay,
what can you do?
What I'm used to is we're used to putting up, like for this year, we had the tour set from December into January of 2019. So we were ready to roll by the time the album dropped. Like we had dates from June all the way to August. Right? And then back again in November. We had all those dates booked. Believe me, we had to cancel every single one, including what would have been my first production of a show in the UK with a partner. So I was partnering with someone to put on like the most wickedest show in London. And that fell through too. And believe me, when we posted that show that day, all the tickets went out in 1 week, sold out, done. There's probably like maybe seven tickets that were left.
There's love for you over here,
VIP was
girl.
sold out.
There's love.
And then I just gave all the money back for all the tickets and stuff. Like we refunded everybody when I had to cancel. And I remember when in March, after realizing like, yo, this is it. Like we're not going on the road. Like I crashed. Like I crashed, like mentally, spiritually, everything. I just went, ooh. And I sat down and I was like, yo, so what do I do now? And I said, okay, I'm going to create games with the kids and I'm going to have them, do the trampoline, the water slide, all of this stuff. And, but I'm like, okay, but still, something is still missing. And I said, you know what? All right, fine. Since I can't go on the road, I'm going to do a live. But even with the live, it was like, okay, so I still can't meet with people. We still can't sell the physical albums on the road. We still can't do pictures, autographs, the regular thing that we used to do. We can't watch the numbers climb for the album. We can't do anything. So I decided, you know what, instead of sinking into this thing that feels like it's pulling me down, I'm just going to create a whole new album. And that's what I did.
I can't wait to hear that. You're going to give me a first listen when that's ready though, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because I want to hear what you have to say.
No, I look forward to it, man. I can't believe that. Like I said, I literally going into the research for this and preparing for the interview, I couldn't believe how I'd taken you for granted. And it started making me think about how long you've been here, how consistent the bar's been in terms of your music, your delivery, your profile, your presence, who you are as a woman. Like it's like you said, it's all clean, it's all A grade. And you're right, I think, to a degree. That's one of the reasons why you're under-celebrated. Sometimes careers need to go like that for people to kind of really take note. But you've almost provided the beautiful background noise that we all need, but sometimes you only notice it when it's gone. So I don't want you to go before you understand that you're appreciated over here as well.
Thank you.
And I guess I really want to wrap up the interview by finding out, like, if you could, change anything about your career so far, what would it have been? And I sense it's probably the contracts, but outside of that, which you've explained, is there any part of your career that you're like, I could have done that a little bit differently, or maybe I should have collaborated with that person when I had the opportunity and I didn't take it, or, is there anything like that? Because to be honest, I don't really see anything that you have done wrong.
I think the only thing that I ever could have done probably is I should have started touring sooner. Because like with the first 2 or 3 albums, I didn't start touring until the 3rd album, really.
Okay.
Like I toured Europe in the 1st album, and I still was doing like, only spot dates. But I realized that touring, I should have done it sooner. And I think that the first time when I toured and it was so hard and I gave up and I was like, no, forget it. I'm just going to do spot dates. It's too hard. I wish that I didn't say that. I wish I had kept going, because then when I really decided that I want to start again, I had to start all over again. Right. But otherwise, yeah, I understand where reggae is. I understand that reggae artists face. See, like other bands, especially in America, although I don't see all the white bands complaining. I see them just doing what they do, and they do music and they just love it and they aren't paying attention. And yeah, they're white and I'm Black and Caribbean, but at the end of the day, we're doing music. And as far as I know, when I go into their territory, because I say their territory, when I go in their territory and I tour, the love is still the same. The audience continues to grow. The appreciation for the music is there. So I know that it's the music that the people love, and it may seem like it's underground, but really and truly the audience is there for it. And so um, things like that. I just wish that I had stuck to it when I started, and I should have started sooner.
Well, let's move on to. I said that was my last question. But let me ask you this as my last question. And where since the next album's done, and I know you probably got your mind on the one after that now. That I know you stay. Where would you like to tour, and who would you like to collaborate with? Is there anybody in this world that you haven't done music with that you would say, you know what, I'd love to produce something with?
That's interesting. I would love to collaborate with like a Stevie Wonder or a Jay-Z or um, uh, uh, oh my God, how can his name flick through my mind right now? There are a few people in hip hop that I would like to collaborate with.
Okay.
Um, um, there are so many people that I like to collaborate with in hip hop, but I think the time may come for that. I've already collaborated with so many people on this new project too. You're gonna ask, how did you manage to do that in COVID time? But we'll talk about that then.
All right, cool, no problem. What about where you'd like to tour? Where would you like to tour? Where have you not been that you'd like to
Oh
go?
yeah. I'd like to tour in the UK. I've done spot dates like 3 shows and 4 shows, but I want to do more. I want to tour. I want to tour through Paris again, through France again. I'm sorry. Um, I performed once in Paris, and that was just like so long ago. But the venue was like where it needed to be, and they kept calling for me to come back, and I will. And I would like to once again tour Brazil. Where else? I think that's about it. South America, Europe again, back through the United States, and Africa. Africa
Well,
for
I hope
sure.
you
like
get to
I went
achieve
to
that.
Ghana.
Oh,
I
you
was
went to
able to go
Ghana?
to Ghana. I went to Ghana, but years ago, so I want to get
Oh,
back there, and I want to go back to Kenya, and I want to go back to. I want to do other places in Kenya than just Nairobi. So I'm looking forward to all the excitement that's about to come, and I know it's gonna be wicked, and I can't wait. I keep saying, you know how there's a song go when Sunday comes, Sunday comes. I keep saying when November comes, because I'm waiting for like this, election period to just pass.
I
Like,
get you.
can you just
I get
get
you.
out of our ears now with this thing, so we can move on.
And move on. I hope we do. Listen, good luck with everything. Gemini's out now. For those who haven't listened, download, streamed, go and do that. It's Etana at her best, and I don't know if I've ever heard you at anything other than your best. So, like I
Thank
said,
you.
to give you a flowers now, credit for all the work you've done, the consistency, the level, the bar. Keep doing your thing, and I'm looking forward to that next album. Even though I've still got this one on rotation, so yeah.
I think I'm gonna go. You'll get a link before this year ends, so you can listen through it. It's probably not gonna be like it's probably not gonna flow um, like an album, but you'll
Mm.
be able to hear track after track after track, just the
Okay.
way the album is. I think you
All
should
right,
listen
cool.
to that, and then I'm sure you're gonna have more questions.
Thanks for your time, Etana. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you have a good day, all
Thanks
right?
for having me. Yeah, but bless.
Bless.